We are live on this lovely Thursday morning. The question, are you living deliberately or are you living habitually? And can you spot the difference? When you are living deliberately, it means you have chosen what you want to experience. You have selected the state you want to be in, and then you act according to what that state dictates. That is being deliberate. Habitually living would be doing the same things you've always done in the same way you've always done them. And we say to ourselves, well, you know what? That's just the way I am. That's just my lot in life. That's the difference between the two. Now, whether we live deliberately or habitually, we still live by way of law. There is no other way to live. There will always be cause and effect. There will always be correspondence. And you will always be thinking. You will always be in a mood. You'll always be in a state. There's no way around it. But the difference would be when you spot the state or the mental attitude or the mental mood that you are in. And when you spot that, now if you don't know how to spot it, what is your behavior? That's how you can spot it also. You can look at your present behavior and it'll clearly show you what mood you're in and what your mental attitude is. It will show it to you day in and day out. Now, when you see that behavior, when you hear the words that are coming out of your mouth, when you sense your mental attitude, what do you want to do with it? This is how we become deliberate. This is why scientists like Dr. Bruce Lipton could tell us 95% of the actions that we do are not deliberate. They're on autopilot, they're habits. Last night, if we remember, we were part of a lecture last night. Neville Goddard mentioned that habit behaves like law, right? Actually, habit behaves according to law. That's why it's so compelling. Nothing is outside of law. Remember that part. Nothing is outside of it. So, whatever habits you have, when I say habits, people think smoking, drinking, sex. They think, I'm talking about all habits. You and I are comprised of habits. This is why someone could observe you for a couple of weeks or less and know exactly what to do to get you to act in the way they want to. It's called an algorithm. You see, we think these names are made up, but in actuality, look at the word rhythm. There's an ebb and there's a flow, right? An algorithm is a thing that was allegedly developed by the computing world, and it does one thing: it watches the choices that you make. And if you observe the choices that someone makes, you will know their character. You will know their habitual place in their minds that they live from. This is why, if you go in your timeline, if you keep watching a particular type of video, you will be suggested that type of video over and over again because you keep choosing it. You keep choosing it, it keeps appearing. It won't go anywhere until who makes a change? You have to make a change. So if when you look at your timeline and you say, oh my God, why is this on here? I'm so overwhelmed by it. Then you have to make a different choice. But you see, what we tend to do is, oh, well, I'm just going to go on a social media fast. You have to make a different choice online. Now, use the law of correspondence as above, so below, as within, so without, to help you make your choice. If you are looking at the algorithm and you keep making the same choice, it is showing you your habit. It's showing you your habit. It's showing you what is ruling you from the shadows. So that's how you're living your life. You're living your life ruled from the shadows by something you've done the same way every time. We can't live without our habits. Sorry. That means you'd have to learn to read every day. You'd have to learn to add, subtract, multiply every day. All of those things that you have stored there, those are habits because you do them the same way every time. Reading is a habit. The words that you say to string a sentence together, past tense, present tense, those are habits. You learned them and you don't change. This is why if you look at a sentence and it's grammatically incorrect, it sits funny and you're like, ooh, that doesn't make any sense. Because habitually you learned it a different way. So depending on your dialect and the way you speak culturally, some people pronounce words differently. They sound different to your ear. You're like, but that doesn't sound right. But to them it is. That's how they say it. Tepid, tepid, meaning warm. Just a matter of semantics. But it's their habit, the way they habitually say it. So that's how we live our lives, by way of a habit, a thing we do the same way every time. We cannot escape habits because habits are there to help us. The only time the habit won't help you is if it is no longer useful. Again, if it's no longer useful, it can't help you. It hurts you then. How so? Listen, when I first came to this country, I met people who were my age and they were smoking. And when I left Barbados, the only people I know who smoked were old men. So why are you smoking at 14? They developed a habit, right? So that's cool to them and that's what they do. To me, I'm like, but that's foolishness. How you going to run? You can't even breathe. But that's what I mean by having a habit that is not helpful. It isn't. How? So those are the most prominent habits we can think of. Smoking, drinking, sex, lying, you name them, we all have habits. The key is, are you being deliberate with your habit or are you just running on autopilot and just doing what you've always done? And if I ask you, why did you do that? And you say, well, I don't know. I've just always done it that way. You have a particular way of tying your shoelaces. That is a habit. And it doesn't matter what shoelace you put on. Whatever shoe you put on, you're going to tie your laces in that way because you learned how to do it. So that's what you do, right? That way that you tie your shoes rules you for tying your shoes. So, what other habits do you have that you can spot? The way to recognize your habit, you will catch yourself saying, why do I always do that? Why is it always happening to me? Why me? That phrase is a glaring spotlight on your habit. And now to be deliberate, you look at it and you say, wait a minute, is that helping me? Why do I choose the same type of relationship? Why does my job atmosphere always turn out the same way? You know, when people say to you, if everybody tells you there's a problem and you can't see it, then you're the problem. That's that's exactly what we deal with. We can't see the habit right away. because we've been doing it for so long. It's like you're the marionette. It's got you and it's making you dance. That's what the habit does. But if you are the one to select your habit, if you're the one to say, listen, I need a new way of doing things. So I'm going to start doing it this way all the time. And you don't deviate from it. You just do it until such time you don't have to remind yourself to do it. You just do it on autopilot. That is how you deliberately live. When you say, I'm going to change something and I'm going to make it this way. So when Neville Goddard says that these habits rule our lives and either make us successes or failures, you've got to spot it. You've got to see it. And when you see it, don't judge yourself. Don't call yourself names. You only did what you had to do because that was the time you were in. But once you've decided to change, everything comes together to help you change. All you have to do is make the decision. You know what I would prefer to do? ... And you select the state that your new habit would be in. If your new habit is going to make you on time, it's going to make you honest, it's going to make you faithful, if that's what your new habit is going to do, then what state would that be? That would be a state of what? Well, you start to feel better about yourself, more confident, more sure of yourself, more secure in yourself. So you would select a state of security. How do you do it? Well, what would it feel like if I could hear or see this person's face when they said, and they looked at their watch and go, wait a minute, you're on time? Is this an invasion of the body snatchers? But you're different. Huh. Kudos to you. You see, in your mind's eye, somebody's going to treat you differently based upon the new state you occupy, the new mental mood or attitude you occupy. And I'm going to tell you this every single day until you see it. But better than seeing it is to act upon it. It is not enough to hear what to do. It's not enough to hear what to do. You must practice it. Why? Because you're the one saying, I want to change. I'm tired of doing that thing. That's what you're saying. So then give yourself the opportunity. Take stock of your life. Are you living by way of habit? Are you reacting to life the way you always have? Can you spot a liar from 20 feet away? Oh, I know what kind of person this is. Why would you be able to do that? Because you are reacting to life. You're reacting to the fact that something happened to you in your life. And you now have the ability to see it before it can hurt you. That is reacting to life. You're reacting to life. You're being habitual. Because not everybody lies. But you're only looking for the ones that do. Why? Because you've been hurt by a liar. This is why people say, once a liar, always a liar. Once a cheater, always a cheater. Not necessarily. You hold them to that, so they have to remain being it. You see, people live by way of their habits. Those habits were developed over time. So however you see someone behaving, that's their habitual way of living. Why get upset with them? Just recognize that they're living from a particular state, a habitual state. They will always have to act that way unless they change their state. So don't forget, you and I do the exact same thing. So to be deliberate, examine the present state that you are in. And we examine the present state that we are in by listening to the way we speak, watching the way we think, paying attention to our behavior. You'll know a man by his habits, right? So which one are you doing? Are you deliberately living or are you just habitually living? Are you reacting the way you've always reacted? Because, well, that's just the way you are? No, that's just the way you practiced to be. It's just the way you practiced being. So what are you going to do about it? Hmm? Are you going to allow yourself to just stay in that state? And that's the funny thing with us. We stay in the state and we complain. We want to get out, but we complain. It's the complaining that keeps us there. Complaining is putting your attention on something that you don't like. And you're not just putting your attention on it, you're keeping your attention on it. And so what happens? You have to live that same way. So the encouragement this morning is this: we get to be deliberate, we get to choose. Some people say, but that doesn't work for real life, Angela. Nothing is on the outside that did not first start on the inside. So if it exists on the outside, because everybody believes it and because everybody experiences it, it just means that they have decided to accept and receive it. Thus, it has to continually be that way. And because it's continually being that way does not make it true and it doesn't make it right. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to say, well, that's just the way it is in the world? Did you not know that you can change? How do we change the world? By changing yourself, your perception of yourself. Do you habitually think, well, I'm not as good as that person? Only reason you do that's probably because you heard it somewhere in your life as a child. Oh, well, you're not as good as that person. No, they're better than you. And they may not have said it to you in that fashion. They may have said to you, well, why can't you be more like your brother? Why can't you be more like your sister? But perception. You perceived and you heard you're not as good. You also heard you got to work twice as hard to prove yourself. And because we've heard it incessantly, it now becomes our habitual way of living. Not because it is true, but because it's now a habit. It's a thing we've done and said for so long that it has to now become true to us. So this morning, take stock of your life. Look at it and see if you can spot the habit that's got you by the short and curlies, for lack of a better phrase. See what habit has you. And when you see it, do you want to be its prisoner? Or do you want to be its ruler? In order to be the ruler of your habits, you select the thought, the word, or the action that you would prefer to do and do it the same way every time until you don't have to remember to do it. You just can't stop doing it. That's how we live deliberately. I can sit here and tell you all of the things that we say to ourselves. Yeah, but that person's getting ahead. And each person has an imagination. So use yours. You don't use your imagination to complain that somebody else is further ahead in life than you. Oh, but Angela, I don't have the certification. I don't have the degrees. What state do you want to live in your life? Get into the state, and all necessary components that are required for you to live the experience will present themselves in the easiest way possible for you to access it. And complaining doesn't do it. Complaining takes you way over there, and what you want to accomplish is on the other side. So you see, complaining is a habit as well. You know, when you meet someone and it feels like they're walking with an umbrella and it just rains on them? We've seen those things before. That's just their habitual way of thinking. And because you can never be made a liar of, you must experience the contents of your mind as your experiences. So, to spot your habit, you will ask yourself, and seriously, it just comes out of your mouth. Why does this always happen to me? Why do I make the same choice? But you see, the next time you say it, you'll know what it's telling you. It's not telling you that you're a loser. It's not telling you that you're not good enough. It's telling you, hey, here's the thorn in your side that's been plaguing you for years. Do you want to carry on, or do you want to fix it? And the beauty is, you don't have to fix it because it isn't broken. It's just a state. States are like underwear. Hopefully, we change them daily. Right? State, really and truly, states are like underwear. You change them, you go through them. Oh my God. We change moods so frequently throughout the day. And you see, when you hear the thing on the outside and you react to it, you think you're reacting to something on the outside, but you're not. You are reacting to the thing internally. You had to become upset internally first before that thing you came across on the outside made you upset. As within, so without. So the mood that you're in will dictate your experience. That's why your work is to continually and deliberately select your mood. Because if you're the one selecting your mood, well, how will you possibly be triggered? The trigger is within you, not the outside. Think about it. How would I know what triggers you? I just happen to say, well, I don't like that kind of food. And if that's your culture and you get offended, how am I supposed to know what would offend you? You are the holder of what offends you. You are. And where is that? Hidden from worldview until you act upon the offense that is within your mind's eye. So are you habitually offended? Well, then hold on, honey, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Because if you are habitually offended, there is always going to be some jackass who offends you. Not because they're a jackass, but because the offense is laying inside your bosom. But that's the way you are. That's the way you've been living your whole life, right? But here's the great news: you don't have to live a life of habitual offense. Shit. I wish I could show it to you. We think that our health problems are somehow separate from our thought processes. but they're not. The person who's suffering with the anxiety and depression usually will have some kind of digestive upset, whether it would be IBS, huh? We think that it's an environmental thing. No, it is an internal environmental issue that causes the external problem. So if you can spot your hidden habit of how you're living your life, you will clearly see why your health is the way it is. You'll see it. Your neck is always tight. You got bricks for shoulders. They're so hard because that's where you hold your tension. Then you're going to tell me, oh my God, these headaches that plague me. Yeah, they're your thoughts that trigger a physiological cascade in your body. Why? Because you habitually think the same way. I know that may be a little bit difficult to hear. I know, but I'm not here to tell you what you want to hear. I'm here to tell you the law and how to change your life so that when you get up in the morning and you come across an obstacle that you put there, you will say, well, I put it there, I can take it away. I am not a prisoner of life. I am the guard of my life. Because those are the only two ways to live: prisoner or deliberate occupant, by habit or by deliberately choosing. Those are the two ways that we live. So it may not be what you want to hear, but do you want to overcome the thing that you're dealing with? Well, then, recognize that it is only there because of a habitual behavior that you do. And what is a habit? A thing that you do the same way every time. So, how do you make a habit? Select the state you want to be in all the time and practice maintaining that state so that it does what? You always go there. I just told you, if you're always complaining, that's a state of complaining. And you just practice being in it, and that's how you're always in it now. But if you want to live in a state of, you know, you see the world in a positive fashion, practice seeing it that way, and you will solidify the habit of seeing the world in a particular fashion. You see the glass is half full, or do you see yourself as continually pouring and drinking? It doesn't matter how you see it. What part did you play? Are you busy pouring into the glass, or are you busy drinking from the glass? That is what makes the glass half full or half empty: your actions. So, which part are you playing at that given time? You know what I'm saying, Vern? So, do you want to be deliberate, or do you just want to run on autopilot? Choose, because we're always going to run on autopilot. Choose what type of autopilot you want to run on. You have that power because you know what a habit is, and you know we all have them. You do it the same way every time. So choose the state you want to be in: a state of calm, a state of inner peace, a state of confidence, a state of security. Name your state. And when you're in a state of security, do you walk around wondering when the next shoe is going to drop? No, you don't, because you're secure. You know that whatever falls from the sky, you can mold and shape yourself to handle it. You're not waiting for something to happen to you. You're making things happen. That's a state. You're not walking and living your life from a state of disappointment. Oh my God, everybody always fails me. Shoot, that's because you fail yourself. How do you fail yourself? By thinking you can't be better than what you are. That's how we fail ourselves every single day. By thinking that well, I'm no good. Or I'm just mediocre. Well, I'm not like them. You will never be them. You can't be them. You didn't live their experiences. You are you. So successfully be you instead of failing at being everybody else. Like this is what I mean by being deliberate. Oh, but my grades, Angela. What state do you want to be in? Do you want to be on the honor roll? How would it feel to walk by and see your name on that honor roll? How would it feel? Shoot, you'd have a spring in your step, especially for the ones you know that walk by and they don't even know you, but they're like, oh my God, I totally want to be on the honor roll like all these people. They don't know it's you, but you know it's you. And so you have a pep in your step. You have confidence in yourself. But the confidence did not come because you are on the honor roll. The honor roll is the evidence of how you feel about yourself. Live life from the inside out because it is law. And if you try to live life from the outside in, it's going to crush you because you can't break the law. So if you're not breaking the law, that means you're throwing yourself against it. Not a good idea. That's like running and jumping and hitting the wall with everything you've got. And then, ow, that hurt. It will have to. But if you look at the law and you say, wait a minute. What state do I want to be in? Because there's many states I can choose. There's many attitudes I can choose. Which one do I want? And as soon as you select it, oh, yes, you get a corresponding feeling. And you say, yeah, that's the feeling I want to have every day. If not every day, most of every day. And if you stay in that state, yes, this is the feeling I want to have every day. Well, then, how many times can you return to it throughout the day? How long can you sustain it? You keep going there over and over again because that's where you want to be. And you've deliberately selected it. It's like a cat with its scratching post. It has a favorite one. And sometimes that scratching post is the couch, but I digress. Doesn't matter what you do, it will return there over and over and over again because that's its spot. Well, you have a particular spot too. Right? Choose it. Choose the state you want to be in. What's the state? Your mental mood, your mental attitude is your state. Because whatever mood or mental attitude you are in, that is how you will act. So if you walk around with the attitude of don't mess with me because you're going to catch these hands, you will always encounter, listen, you will walk around with a boxing ring around you, and all who step in will be your opponent because you're the one walking with the boxing ring, talking with the attitude of you mess with me, you're going to catch these hands. Well, that's your habitual state. You're always ready to fight, so you always have to fight. But here's the thing. Aren't you tired of that? Do you always want to be in the ring fighting? Well, then change your state. If you don't want to be fighting, what do you want? But some of us, it's not that you are addicted to the fight. The fight has just become your habitual way of living. So you see, my beautiful friends, you don't listen. Listen, you may have had the attitude of being the village bicycle or being the village ram. Okay? You could have had that reputation, but that reputation is irrelevant if you don't want it anymore. So if you don't want it anymore, what do you want to be? You want to be the lady. You want to be the gentleman. Well, fine. Start seeing yourself as such, and a way is made. You will clear a pathway, and people will only ever now see you as the lady or the gentleman. But you are the one who has to lay down the old way, the old habit. I can't beat you and take it from you. Shoot, you'll beat me to defend it because it is yours. And what right do I have to take it? That's what we do. We all respond the same way. That's why the change must emerge from within you. I can't force you to change. But if you want to change, I can't stop you from changing. See? Internal. So don't fret. Look at your life and don't turn your nose up at it because it's your life. It's like sniffing your armpits. You're like, whew, it was a rough day at the gym. I sure earned it. Well, what do? You bathe. You cleanse yourself. How do you cleanse yourself? By releasing the old state and walking into the new state. What attitude do you want to walk through the world with? Well, then practice walking with that attitude. You'll see it in your mind's eye and you'll feel it in your body. And at first, it feels like everybody's watching you change and they're waiting for you to make a mistake. But that's not true. It only feels like they are because you're the one doing the new thing. So you're self conscious. Do you hear that word? You're conscious of yourself. Self conscious. It means you are aware of yourself and what you're doing. And because you are aware of yourself and what you're doing, you think everybody's aware of you. Nah, everybody's aware of themselves. So keep doing the new. Keep seeing who it is you say you want to be. Keep seeing that in your mind's eye. It's just like walking around with your triggers. Only you see them. Only you know they're there. Well, the difference between walking with the trigger and walking with the way you want to be is you're walking with something. So walk with the thing that is lightest to carry. Because the longer you carry it, the heavier it gets. So walk with the thing that you don't mind carrying. Walk with the thing that you will just continue doing. You don't want to take a rest from it. Walk with that new attitude. Remember, I can't see your new attitude. You can. And the longer you carry your new attitude by seeing it in your mind's eye, eventually I will have the privilege of seeing it because it will come out of you. Just like Taco Bell and beans, baby. I'll know. If I stand next to you on the train, I'll know what you ate, won't I? Because you'll let me know. But if I'm looking at you, I don't know until the evidence emerges from you. You know what I'm saying? So that's your attitude. It's either that attitude will be fragrant, well, or it'll stink. So which one? You choose. Because remember, the attitude that has the flies buzzing around it, or do you want to be the attitude that is roses? Not because you want somebody to like you, because you are the one in your own smell. Christ Almighty, you're the one in your own smell. That's why it matters to you more than it will matter to anybody else. Is you. You have to put up with you. So choose the state you are willing to put up with. Right? But we end up choosing states and we say, well, nobody wants to be my friend. Well, you're in a state of what? Rejection. So if you're walking around in a state of rejection, how can you accept friendship? You must always correspond. As within, so without. So if the attitude that you're walking in is, you know what, I've been hurt one too many times. I'm not going to put myself out there. I'm going to guard my heart. You're in a state of fear. So now you want to make friends, but you're in a state of fear. You think they're going to hurt you. So how are you going to make friends if you think that everybody's out to hurt you? Well, you'll be lonely and you will hate your loneliness because you want friends. So then accept, accept your worthiness. If you don't see it first, you cannot project it outward. As within, so without. So don't get out there and try and force people to like you. You can't do it that way because they're never going to. But you get inside and say, wait a minute. You know what? This state stinks. No wonder I don't have any friends. Let me change this state. And you go from a state of agitation and fear because your face will show you what state you're in also. And when you start seeing it, you'll laugh at yourself and say, oh my God, that's what I've been doing this whole time. Phew. And the moment you embody that different state that says, you know what? I'm good. I'm choosing. I am the one choosing. You walk a little bit lighter. You smile more. And what happens when you smile more? Somebody walks by and they see that smile and they go, oh my God, that's a beautiful smile. It's like the person with crooked teeth, right? They don't always smile first because they're self-conscious. They're judging themselves. They think they're going to be laughed at. Believe me, I know. Mine aren't crooked, but I got a big old gap. Oh, I learned to love that gap, let me tell you. I learned to love it. When kids made fun of me, I want to see people only made fun of me when I moved to this country because it was unusual for them to see a gap. But where I grew up, shoot, a gap is everyday occurrence. So I never had a problem with it until someone said, are you missing a tooth? And I'm like, Jesus, what are you talking about? I'm not missing a tooth. And I didn't smile for a while because I didn't want somebody to ask me that question. Do you know what I mean? You have a dentist who says to you, I've never seen a gap this big. And they're like, but it's unusual because it doesn't need braces. I'm like, no, it doesn't need braces because it is genetic. My mama got one, my grandmother had one, and I got the biggest one in the bunch. But at the time, I felt insecure about my gap until I learned it's mine. It's mine. So I stopped walking in that insecurity. And now, girl, you can't even stop me from smiling. You could try. I celebrate my gap. It is 5 millimeters wide. 5 millimeters. My dentist measured to let me know. Such a phenomenon that she had to let me know. So you see, you have to change your mental state. You have to change your mental state. And now people tell me, oh my God, I just love your smile. And I'm like, yeah, me too. It may seem trivial, but it isn't. Because it matters to you. How can it be trivial? It matters to you. So it isn't trivial. That's what I'm trying to convey to you this morning. So if you walk around and you feel lesser than, you will always feel lesser than until you decide that you are not. Nobody can make you not feel lesser than. You have to decide that you are greater than what you thought you were. And the moment you accept it, you've moved yourself mentally into a different place. Anyway, let's take a moment and welcome everyone into the space, shall we? Because you know I do tend to prattle on. Hey, Symmetric, I see you here in the Twitter sphere. Hey, hey, hey. I see you. YouTube and Facebook. Queen Marat, say hello to the girls. Hello, Wealthy Supreme Rico. Good morning, Miss Trina Bina. Oh, not in my backyard. Hello. I, I've never said your name before. Not in my backyard. Welcome. Hey, son. Oh, Marjorie. Hi, sweetie. Now, there's a name I haven't said for a little bit in the chat. It is so good to see you, my love. It really is. The better man, ain't not? Oh, you guys are the ones who've made yourselves known in the chat. Lord, I just love seeing you guys. Who's here on fan base this morning? Hey, Delight. Afternoon, Delight. Yeah. Happy is in the house. Oh, that's you, Mr. C. You're in two places. I'm loving it. Not in my backyard. And Mr. C, hey, hey. Fawn. Hey, CJ. Yes, a little bit. I don't think I could ever forget that you're here too. Hey, Casey. Substance. Miss McQueen. Yes, I know you're there. Hey, Malik. Oracle Treehouse. Flo Smiles. I see you all. Listen, he's telling you he's here too. In all of his splendor. Listen, I'm not gonna keep you. Um I'm not gonna keep you because we're gonna get the bowl. But this morning, when you hear the bowl and the bird song, what's that habit? Well, you know you got that habit. You want to keep it? Listen, you don't have to fight it. Heavens, no, honey. You don't have to fight it. Select a different one and start practicing that. Begin to celebrate it and feel how it makes you feel in your body to just even consider the fact of, I got a new habit. Oh, let me do it. Celebrate that, and that will become so easy for you to do that you'll forget you had the old one. Oh, indeed. You never have to fight. I know, sweet boy. I know. I'm coming for you. Don't worry. So, take it easy this morning and hear the bowl for 3 minutes and be reassured. Walk in the reassurance that you can change your life on a dime by switching states. Let me get the bowl. This boy's something else. He beat me to the punch this morning. Funny punches in a bowl. That cracked me up. Handsome. I know, baby. Countdown initiated. 5, 4, 3, 2. Symmetric. I love you. I'll see you tonight if you're available. Enjoy the beautiful day. YouTube and Facebook. Uh, Queen Marat. Miss Mysteriously Magical. You must have changed your name because you got a wrench in this room. I don't know what frequency my crow sounds off at. I have no idea. I just know he crows when he is inspired to do so. Mm, yes. A.M. Amani. Hey. Um, Marjorie and Wealthy Supreme Rico and Miss Trina. Not in my backyard. Son, the better man, A not. Listen, enjoy the beautiful day today. I'm coming, fan base. I'm coming because I know there's a question in there somewhere. Um, I'll see you guys tonight. Ooh, and the lecture, this is lesson 4. None to change but self. That's the one that's tonight. And you know that one's gonna be popping too. I'll see you tonight, 10:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the bedtime lecture. Much love to you all.